We are set.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, our workflow would be is we have this document, so we go in and create our record that's going to do the split. And we're just going to put in the recording number of the document.
Keep in mind, all these are the documents that were sent, I believe, earlier today.
Yeah, I sent the survey as well as the document in the clerk's office.
Yes, we got it. Thank you.
So we've created our document, created our record.
Oh, I suppose a quick snippet is also this is done in ArcGIS 3.2.2 with ArcGIS Enterprise 11.2.
So then the next step would be is we're going to set our ground to grid. And this is just alleviates having to rotate so much afterwards. So now we're ready to do our traverse.
Sorry, when you set that grounded grid, you just clicked an existing line and it just automatically did it. Is that what happened?
Well, you put in, so on the description, it says that it's because here's our quarter corner and it's given a bearing and just given a bearing along this line. So that's the first information I put in when I set the ground to grid. And then the second part of that is I actually snap to the line in our data.
Okay, I was writing notes down, so my eyes went up and down, so I apologize. So thank you.
No, that's fine. I should have explained that. That's is there a way to move that off the screen?
The funny thing is actually we don't see anything.
Pardon?
If you check more.
So, Jess, depending on how you shared your screen, you may not want to reshare it because I think you want to share the full screen, not the
correct.
piece so that the pop-ups appear.
It should. I think you said it to share screen.
All
right.
So it's not sharing correctly. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't think it is, but a quick way to do that is just use the measure tool or do an identify and see if the pop-up appears.
The problem I'm having is there
we go.
Well,
I'm guessing it's probably tools in the way of.
Okay, so it seems to be working. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's just the Zoom thing is covering up my tools, so that's
okay.
Still not gonna work, is it?
Also, I'm thinking if there's any major differences that anybody knows of between well, you're on 3.2, is that what you said?
Yep. He has ArcGIS Pro 3.2.2
Oh, okay.
installed
Actually,
on Enterprise 11.2.
Yeah, so we're using 3.2, but also we're at 11.1, so should be fun. There shouldn't be any big differences.
So I'm gonna start my traverse now that we've created a record, set our ground to grid. Got to set the scratch line initially. I'm gonna set my start point, and then I'm gonna go in. We'll do the exception first. And it's saying that we're south 89, 4326 west, 326.2 feet from that quarter corner. So we're gonna put in our bearing 89, 26, and I'm going northeast, so it's the -1. Put in my distance, and enter, and so it's put in that first line of the Kogo. Now I'm gonna, because that's just our true point of beginning. Now I'm gonna hit new, start my new Kogo. I'm gonna go. So there we have our, shows you your closure down below. We've got our first portion. And are you familiar with how doing the bearing and distance as far as the quadrant and all that?
Yeah, we're familiar. It's obviously new to us because but yes, that's just a new way to do it that we're gonna have to learn how to do, but yes.
So I think you can also, you could probably type in the north and east rather than using the number, I believe, but
Yeah, it's just quicker the way you're doing it. It's just something new for us to get used to.
sure. And so now I'm gonna do the next, which has the next Kogo is gonna start at the same point. It's gonna end here. So I'm gonna do new, I'm gonna set my start point's already set. So this time I'm gonna set my closing. Because we already have that line segment in there. So here again gives us our closure. And so I'm done with that. And I can see this one here is right on because of course that's what we set our ground grid to. This one here is corners off just a skosh. So I'm gonna edit that.
See, I don't like this. If they would have just. You're on.
Well, this is a fast and dirty for the demo.
So why wouldn't you at the beginning just proportion that line to the distance that it says and have that endpoint be right there rather than doing it this way? Does it matter?
'Cause I'm just trying to hold to our existing line. Because it's
Right.
still, the line still maintains the Kogo distance.
Okay.
Like the line's a little off as you go north too.
To the convincing
That must not have snapped up there very good.
Yeah, I think that's probably part of it probably didn't quite snap to the right place up there. As you can see where the original point, it sort of snapped just like maybe like a couple feet to the left for whatever reason.
Oh,
And that's part of the problem. So you could always just, if you feel like redoing it or whatever, you can. Because yeah, everything will sort of be skewed off by that same amount.
well, we should be, for the sake of the demo, I think we're good.
Yeah,
We're
for
good.
the sake of the demo.
Okay. So the main thing, you gotta Kogo it in and then, so these are our two parcels, that are being adjusted. So now I'm gonna select both the parcels. Let's get out of that. And I'm going to, go back to our parcel workflow and I'm gonna copy lines too. And so that's gonna, shrink those parcels down to their seeds. And then so we just have essentially the line work. And then here again, I'm gonna edit the existing line. And Now I'm gonna select the scratch lines that I'm gonna keep as my parcel lines.
Missed a couple. There we go.
And then so I'm gonna go to cut. I'm gonna paste special. I want it to go to my parcel lines.
So scratch lines is just like a construction line. It's just a temporary where you can COGO stuff in and not have any impact.
Correct.
Okay.
And so now we have our new adjusted line in there. It's got the COGO information attached to it. And something else turned on. Sorry about that. So here's our two parcels, and my understanding is you have to have the whole entire parcel visible to be able to build the parcel back. So now, because we've got our adjusted line in there, we can go ahead and we already have our existing seeds because we're working with existing parcels, so we don't need to create seeds. So we can just go build. And as long as everything closes, it should build back with the adjusted line.
And as it's going, the dash line that's there, what layer is that on?
That's still just a scratch line.
Okay, so that's the scratch line that you had. Okay.
Right.
And just for record, the scratch line, you probably already know this. It's just a created line feature with COGO enabled.
Yeah.
And so here, so the parcels are built. So we still have our, you know, they reflect the new line. We go to we turn on our historic. That'll show you what the parcels were prior to the adjustment. That's and then of course we would save, reconcile, and post.
So with the reconciling and posting, some of the questions that's come up in the past is, so that do you start your version at the start of the day, and then when you're finished, how does this record or the records that you're working on that day relate to your version?
My understanding is every time you open up, you should reconcile, just make sure you're looking at the most current. And then once you're done with a change, and at that point you'd reconcile and post, so that way anybody else in the office is going to be able to see that change. I don't know if that Violet could add to that.
Yeah, I can. So my deduction of that was that you don't necessarily need to have a different version for every record you do. That's the purpose of records. So what it really came down to was the fact of just they oftentimes had a you typically have a version for like the Parcel Fabric editing. You'd have a version for Carto map series, or like the Carto stuff we had inside there, or any other changes that happen to be in other different places. And as long as they reconcile and posted every day, it should be pretty good. That's about it. Just trying to keep it minimal, the amount of versions that were on the enterprise server on the SDE. So
quick
yeah.
question, so is Jesse, are you the only one editing?
I know there's two of us editing the parcel there.
Oh, okay. And so you guys are using branch versioning, I'm assuming, Viola?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned another version. So you have your two cartographers, each is going to have their own version, and then a third version that's something else.
Yeah, we do have some other features in our Parcel Fabric data that correspond to just some other features that aren't the Parcel Fabric itself. Like, for example, things that might be related to districts, things that might be related to, we also have some other line work that's inside that was included in our Parcel Fabric when we had the conversion. So some of that is in there, and we utilize a different version for that.
Oh, okay. So you could be theoretically updating district lines and stuff all at the same time.
Yeah, so you can go, yeah, if you want to reconcile and post, we can also Jesse, you can also show what our version history looks like too at the same time. There you go, trash can time.
So the reconcile is just saying, okay, now everything's up to date, and then the posting is
Well, the reconcile pulls down changes that occurred from SDE and reconciles them with the current version you have. The posting posts your changes to the SDE.
okay, gotcha.
So and go to manage versions really quick, Jesse. So we only have a couple minimal ones. You can see some of them are a little bit more out of date.
Yeah.
So the ones that are out of date, well out of date, those can actually honestly just be removed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I actually removed the ones I was working on, but there were a couple of them where we were having especially some interesting issues with, oh my gosh, we actually did not upgrade to 3.2.2 up until about 3 weeks ago. 3.5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and we had 11.2 for enterprise and 3.2. And every time that Jesse and Caden would edit a line and edit a line or and like an annotation feature at the same time, it would crash. It would crash almost instantaneously.
Huh.
And so, and we were finding like sometimes it was good if they could reconcile and post and try to get stuff through and then do the work, but it was running slow really badly. And something with a 3.2.2 patch that wasn't necessarily actually like put in the patch notes, because I reviewed these patch notes and it's like there's nothing in there that should be regards to this, but for whatever reason 3.2.2 fixed our problem.
Oh, it fixed it. It didn't
Yes.
create the problem.
No,
Okay.
yeah, 3.2, when we upgraded to 3.2, that caused our problem. Upgrading to getting the patch on there fixed our problem, even though there's nothing in patch notes that would indicate there's any changes to anything like that, which was interesting.
Oh, I just checking ours. Yeah, we're at 3.2.2, and
Yeah.
but now there's a new software update.
Ooh.
Oh, for 3.3. So I'm wondering, maybe I'll hold off on that for now.
Yeah, that's my job to test that. I won't actually unleash that on Jesse or Caden at all. Not yet. But yeah.
All right.
So,
Thanks.
Jess,
Yes.
it looked like you're using the line work tools to, in effect, make sure that the new parcels are part of the fabric. You're not using Esri's tools for adjust and some of those sorts of things. Are there times that you would use that, or is this typical of the process?
It's pretty much typical. Are you referring to like the reshape tool and those sort of things?
Yeah,
the line
there's a whole lot of tools where
Right.
you go in the outline and then you adjust the whole thing to fit. And using some of those tools that were in some of the things that Frank referenced, some of the things that Esri has done
Right.
in the past.
So it just depends on the situation. This one here is relatively cut and dried, so it's but in a case where if you were trying to remap something, then yeah, I definitely would use the reshape tool or something along those lines.
Okay. And then I think the other piece that we were interested in was just, so the line work is now updated. How are you going to deal with the annotation and making sure the map looks right? So when you publish it, it meets the revenue standards.
Well, it's in our Cardo series, so then we would go to that
If you
other
wanna
data
bring
set
that
and then
go for it.
update all that, the annotation and the line work for the map itself.
Can we see a shortened version of that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Gabe, I'm just jumping in. I'm sorry. Gabe, is this kind of fitting?
Yeah, that's exactly what we would, yes. That's perfect.
And I know Jesse's got this down, so.
Yeah, and if you can even
We're-
show
I
process.
think, sorry to interrupt. I know this is probably putting Jesse a little on spot because I think he was thinking about, oh yeah, just procedures, didn't know we are going to dive into annotations too. But I know you got this, so it's all good.
And if possible, maybe even just do a test print to show the final product. Is that, or is that beyond the scope of what we're doing today?
The map would need to be cleaned up because when we converted to Esri to ARC, all our text got shuffled around.
And we won't worry about it then.
But I can show just, I mean, it's all the basic,
So you have another project that has all the annotation on it and one project that has just the, is that what I'm understanding right now? Is that true?
Yeah, I put them in 2 separate projects just to try to alleviate the load on a single project. So that way it would also make a clear delineation between doing Parcel Fabric changes and Parcel Fabric work in that separate project, and try to move away from doing anything Parcel Fabric changing in this one. This one's only for annotation work and line work, and cleaning things up.
So
And
is
then
that kind of,
And then you have another project for like map production, right? Would that be correct? to
Correct,
say?
and I call this one Carto Map series here. And you can see here that where the new line is.
right? So this map here is specific to that section. So it's got a filter turned on. So obviously we can't see the part because this is a map boundary. We have another map to the north. I didn't mean to interrupt, Viola.
Oh, you're totally fine.
So if we go to
is this kind of a standard Parcel Fabric methodology you're doing, Viola, or are you exploring new worlds?
Are you talking about what I'm doing here?
Well, as far as the 3 different projects, yeah.
So it would be, so, and actually so we are trying to figure out, and it's a couple more than just 3 different projects, because so it's the main Parcel Fabric project. And then because I was trying to group everything together all in one big project, and I could not tell if the problem was the size of everything in the project, or if it was the computers, or if it was ArcGIS Enterprise, or where some of the slowdowns were. But we were having a lot of slowdown at one point in time, and so I started separating things out, because it was just like, okay, well, what do I do here? You know, because we had back in 2022 when we were doing this, some major slowdown issues that Jesse probably remembers fondly, and I initially had just I think essentially like either 1 or 2 projects to just do everything. Then we split apart the parcel editing and the Carto Map series, and then I split the Carto Map series into separate projects depending upon the type of map. This one's our T400, which
right,
is
so
our
just to make sure I'm clear on this. So it's not that you have multiple data sets, it's you got one data set, you just have set up different projects that look at different things. Okay. Now,
yep. Yeah. Well, it's actually different projects that look at the same things, just with different filters.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So,
And that was
yeah,
primarily addressing performance issues that you were having when you went to enterprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and so that was mostly just trying to not emulate the model that we have done before, which was a project per map, but rather more of a project per type. So for example, the T400s are in one, and all the T200s are in one, T100s, T20s and 50s are together, and the T2000s are in one. And then the district maps are in a separate project.
That's right. This is out of the CAD-ish environment, more of a CAD environment, where every drawing's a project kind of idea.
Yep, that's what we had. We had 3,107 separate GWS or GeoMedia files. So we had that many different projects. And so we shrunk it down to, like I said, a total of 7 projects.
Okay.
And they all run off of different map series.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you set up different services for each one.
Yep. So I'm just going to say you probably don't need to do a lot of adjustment on annotation, Jesse. I'm going to just let you work in the background while I describe a bit, if that's fine. What Jesse needs to do here is, I'm guessing that this lot, that's 200 lot that's down below, will probably stay within this map with well as the other one that was adjusted with this boundary line adjustment is probably going to the upper side in map 260508. And so what happens is we have a map boundary that drives our map series. The map boundary also drives precisely what's seen. So that'll probably get adjusted and moved along so that it'll essentially be seen in. I love that little line that popped over there on the side. That's great. Trace tools are the best.
Gotta do it too.
Right?
Cancel, stop.
All right.
They're
I get
great
that.
until they start doing weird things, and it's like,
I know that I saw that happen and I was like, oh,
yeah, I had that. I was just tracing something earlier today and had the same issues.
just press, you can press clear also, or
Yeah,
press the X
right
down
click
below.
and
X all the way at the bottom of your editing toolbar.
Oh, it's gone, isn't it? I'm good to
Yeah,
go.
sort of. Okay, yeah. Give it another shot. Give it a try.
Doesn't like that,
yeah, you gotta get. It's like you gotta go click over 'em, I
Probably better
think.
just.
Yeah,
use
yeah. I
keyboard.
click right there, and then continue your trace further up.
Yeah.
Or yeah, actually, honestly, you could just do them a multiple since you're just doing some line work.
right? I just, because the line that's there is coming from the parcel.
Yeah.
This is our,
And so he's putting in some line work. He's going to be adjusting some of the annotation work. You can see like, so you have some of these leftover lines, and we've talked a little bit about how lines will change over time, what needs to be taken from the parcel fabric and how it gets delineated. But for right now, we're still running on a lot of like ownership, non-ownership lines, things like that. You can see here, there's all the annotation work that's there. There is a little, like the C maps that are there are actually dynamic. So those just pull in from the map series itself, because it won't actually show CMap 2605W17 once we turn back on the map series. But he's going to also adjust the breakout line, which is we call it breakout. It's like essentially it wraps around the individual where that particular assessor map will be, and then the map boundary layer will be the one where it'll actually sort of wrap around and include the text that needs to be seen within that particular map. So I'll just let him continue doing a little bit of work here. Feel free to interrupt as needed.
So in terms of the work that's happening now is just in Pro and the fabric, fabric piece is done. Once it was reconciled on post, then you're done using the fabric. Now you're just basically editing in Pro.
Well, there are a couple things. Like when ProWest did the work for us, they actually had the annotation and the line work and the parcels and the districts all in our parcel fabric because we actually didn't know any better. We still have the line work actually in the parcel fabric, so he'll have to reconcile and post that line work. The annotations got pulled up because they were roughly, I think when I did my final count, about 875,000 annotations, and they were a weight on the feature service. So we pulled them out and just put them directly into a SQL database in a different spot. And we found at least some performance increases to make it so that Jesse did not lose the rest of his hair.
trace tool is not liking me today.
So so what it's doing is when you go around that corner, it's gonna then jump to the closest
So
way it can close it. So you can't, you're not gonna be able to proceed past that.
Yeah, you have
corner.
to click somewhere along there, like at that about that 108 degree angle.
So essentially you've got a bunch of cartographic line features that you're now doing your updates to ensure that the map is going to look right. So things like subdivision lines, section lines, map boundaries, all of those things are built on top of the fabric, but they're just standard feature classes.
Yeah, they're just standard feature classes. Are you doing reshape?
I tried, but it didn't like me, but it's not liking this, something's not snaps exactly on, I guess.
Okay, well, I would just take the feature instead of doing reshape and just do an edit vertices on it.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
And then, you know, and again, this is more complicated one because your change is on a map boundary, and on a map boundary, you got more stuff to move. So yeah, that's all. Those things are gonna happen.
But yeah, so we'll see a little bit of this here. I know you're doing right click, add vertex. You could also do on your editing tool, you could switch to the add vertex button instead if you felt like it.
Don't take me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm click on the menu.
I'm over here like, oh, you could just do that. That's fine. So he's adjusting here the breakout area, which is going to be where the segmentation is between 260508 and 260517. I also know that different counties name their areas in different fashions. Ours are just TTRR, W or E, SS. And then there's a help also happens to be the breakdown, which would be like BB. Yep, just click.
Yeah, if there's only a few vertices, I don't even bother with it.
Yeah.
Go a little bit past it.
Well, I didn't like it.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, you're just all those lines that were going straight across, you're just making them follow.
You can also, if you hold down the A key, and then press a line during edit vertices, it will create a vertex.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So you just adjusted the map index to follow the adjustment between the two text lots, correct? Is that what we just accomplished?
Yes.
Okay.
And he'll showcase here shortly. After he moves from the line work, he'll show the map boundary as well.
Like if I, because right now I have it, so if I want to go to,
Ooh, you're gonna have to put in some.
well, I just wanted to show, so I'm going to put in just so say we have a piece of text there. And now I want to go turn my filter back off because I just want to see the map below.
And did you do your adjustment to map boundary too?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
not yet. Not the map boundary.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you have to do map boundary, then you'll see it a little bit. You'll see it before then. So let's do that first. The map boundary is typically blank. Actually, so you can see here these two lines that showcase the map boundary, which is the visible lines that you would like the ability to see the DLC number 48 right there, and the line work. So
the map boundary lines are overlapping, is that what's happening? Or they just have that gap in between?
Are you talking to us, Bob?
Oops, sorry. Yeah, so are those overlapping? Is that what's happening with those map boundary lines?
Yep, so yeah, you'll see here. So just watch. So what they do is they'll actually just they'll create the visibility, the what's visible in the map itself. And then we'll also have to do some adjustments on the other side because you can see the other map boundaries down below that that standard PLSS line. So that'll have to be adjusted on the other side.
Okay. I don't work with any of this stuff, so
That's okay.
I'm trying to always ask questions, so I just know enough to really confuse everybody.
And this is really typical of what you do in CAD systems.
And then, yeah, so as I say, and he's actually excluding that S895727 from being able to see it in 260508.
So you don't your annotation doesn't know what map it comes from?
It'll know what it comes from based upon the map boundary.
Right, okay,
So yeah, so we don't have any, we don't have any, we don't have the, what do you call it? The feature linked, we don't have a attribute field for what map it belongs to for this piece. That belongs to a couple other pieces such as the CMap buffers and a couple other features, but not necessarily the map boundary.
okay.
on there.
And you can also turn off you could also turn off the symbology from map boundary first.
Well, and you already have the map boundary piece, I assume, from your old system, so that just works really well. So,
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Yeah, that was already there. And
Yeah.
it was, I mean, and you can also sort of see if you right click on map boundary just for funness sake, Jesse, and go to attribute table. The map boundary was set in this fashion, so you can scroll over to the right. So you have it driven by map number, but also includes a bunch of other stuff in there. So township range, section, breakdown,
Yep.
comments,
Yep.
scale, cancel numbers, map title, measure notes. If it's a city, if it happens to be an index.
It's pretty similar to our design.
Yep.
Are those automatically populated, those other, most of those columns?
There's some of them like global ID, create user, create date, last ID user. Like those are the ones that come on a versioned, just versioning the data or making sure that it gets not necessarily
Like the township
version
and-
data, but yeah, like but some of those other ones, no, we have to manually type those in.
Okay.
Okay, you can hit save and you could go ahead and roll with it and show what it looks like at that point. Thank you, Jesse.
Oh.
You
You
can go over to yeah, go over to the layout really quick and so you can show 08 and
so you want me to switch maps?
yep, so you can see there. So now it shows the whole line. You can sort of see like that's where the map boundary comes in place. So you can see where it says James N. Wilburn is partially cut off there.
Yep.
And that's part of that is just some of the work that would need to be done from on annotations due to the conversion.
Now, is this layout the one that would be printed off if you wanted to print off this part, this plat?
Correct. And then
Okay.
so to print, if you want to, and I think I've showed this one out before, but with printing, yeah, so we have just you can go click that.
And in theory, if you needed to, for some reason, you could adjust that layout to print in a way that needs to be printed.
Right. Yep. So all the adjustments annotation would go, and then we would just kick off this script. So a little bit less elegant than Dean's solution, but more or less, it actually does more or less just kicks off just for this one particular map here. So you could actually run it really quick if you want, or you could change your test mode to 0. Jesse.
The test or not?
Yeah, test it, change it to 0. And then you can go run it really quick.
Huh.
And then so it's basically it's going to try to print off with the current map series, and you press enter, and then it just spits out some QA sort of stuff like saying, okay, well, this is what it is. This is the township name, section, and it says this is where it's going to go. Are you ready to go? And then you press no or yes, and yeah, that's roughly how it goes. And takes, I timed it at 2 minutes for
And it's doing a TIFF and a PDF.
yeah, the TIFF PDF and the aerial. So
Oh,
Yeah, that TIFF is so cool. I stole that code, so thank you.
it won't actually do it because there's no directory. Here, hold on. Actually,
Oh,
kick it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, kick it off really quick one more time, Jesse. I'm just gonna go in. I'm just gonna create the directory for it because that's part of it. Is that it just wouldn't do it because there's no directory. 2605W. There we go. Go ahead. You can kick it off again. Sure.
and so so this is just a script saying, oh, I want different types of product rather than just hitting export and PDF or something. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because so one of the other things that we've had to deal with too is that, so first off, you could type in an entire different map series. You could type in 2605 32 or whatever, and like then
Yeah.
it'll pick that one out instead and run that one. But it's actually, this was set up this way because we were trying to figure out how to run it off from maps. I was trying to figure out how to do a map series, and then at the same time we would have these how I refer to it as these excuse me, customized layouts where they would have a small detail on them. And I didn't have the wherewithal at the point in time to really know exactly what to do with the detail. And so I actually just set a different in this plat layout. So where it says at the top, the layout's a section plat layout T400. There's other ones that say like there's a standardized like 260613 plat layout, I think is the name of that particular one, where it might have it might have a custom detail or something like that I had to adjust in order to get it in there. And you can see it's all done, by the way. But and you could load it up, Jesse, just to show where it's at, and it's in those directories there. But yeah, we have some custom ones that have details in them, so you can type in the name of the map series and they'll just run it on that one instead.
Do you want me to open the TIFF that I created?
Sure, if you want to, and you can sort of showcase what it looks like.
Just so interesting because it's so driven by the source data, where it came from GeoMedia. It's very cool to see. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, and you can sort of see, by the way, the highlighted text is still in there. That's really fun.
Oh,
I
hate it when I forget to unselect things.
I know. But yeah, that's how it's done there. And you can also see there's that's the TIFF. There's also the aerial. So if you want to also open up the aerial, which is a fun, I find that to be an interesting, fun product, because if you look at the top, you have the plat map, which is where the map is done, the layout, but there's also a secret, there's an unopened secret aerial layout that's back there that doesn't ever get touched. It just sort of exists with some standardized text, and in the script it automatically changes the aerial layout to match the plat layout, and then so you never really have to touch anything with aerial.
So it's just for the FBI.
Yep.
So
yeah,
we don't use any. I mean, we just do PDFs, right, Gabe? Or do you guys do other things?
Yeah, we just do PDFs.
Oh,
Okay.
you should see that in the ArcGIS Pro directory, by the way. I think it's up one directory from where the rest of it is. Jesse.
Yes, I'm trying to. But didn't write it out. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah, which is it's an interesting little product. I don't know what I don't know if that's a required product or what it was, but it was something that we were doing, and
it's just a courtesy. A lot of the private surveyors like them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could see somebody really liking that. That's kind of a nice option to have, whether or not we do it regularly or not.
Especially when the roads match the right of ways, it makes people unhappy when they don't.
Yeah,
well, this is a good one. Not all of them are that pretty, unfortunately.
And so with the aerial layout, we mostly it's a different version of it's essentially this. All it really does is it takes down the PLSS points and the tax lot. I think it's the tax lot number and the acreage, and those two, and all of it's just in red. That's sort of what we had beforehand, and we just have it overlaid on the 2022 OSIP imagery.
Okay. Yeah, and I like it. Shows the overlap there that you guys did.
So and the map boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So going back to the annotation, it didn't look like you have much in the way of bearing and distances. It looks like most of your maps just have distances. Oh, there is some. Okay.
Oh, that just depends where you're at, but yeah, there's bearing distances.
Okay.
Yeah, you can zoom out. I'm pretty sure you have some further down.
When you're entering the bearing and distance from a line, are you retyping it? How are you putting that piece in?
We're retyping it. We're putting in everything manually. It's not driven off of the parcel line. Because like these COGO lines, the lines we COGO, that the bearing and distance is stored in there on the line, but we're not utilizing that for for the annotation as far as the assessor map.
Okay,
It's all manual, so we'll go through here and add in all the bearing distances for those lines.
Can you just do a couple of lines for us, please? Because annotation's been a struggle for us.
Gabe's happiest spot.
Yes.
As far as so we're just gonna go create, we're gonna go to bearing, and so we're in the correct scale, and then like the
Mm-mm.
And are you for the degree? Are you just using
Alt 248,
yeah? Was that is that Alt 0? What is it?
just the Alt key and then 248 on the number
Oh,
pad,
248. Okay, got it.
and then so I mean that, and then you can of course manipulate it if it's not gonna. And we have leader lines, so if it's too short of a segment, you can
You want to follow
have the
feature.
bearing and distance and leader it over.
And that quarter corner there is is
That's-
that one a piece of annotation or is it?
That's annotation, that'll go away. That's
So you
forward view
you
media.
selected you manually placed it. You're not using any automated offset or anything else. You're just eyeing it and saying this is where I want it.
Yeah, everything's manual.
Okay.
Is the way we've been doing it.
Yeah, and I assume that's how you've done it in CAD. That's how you do it.
Well, that's how we did in GeoMedia, yeah, so it's just a
Yeah.
carryover, like you say.
Yep.
And on one like this, where you got the little short segment, obviously it won't fit, so you're gonna have to arrow that in with a leader anyway. So it just gives you a lot of, that's just the way we've always done it type thing.
And so that's how you would do it for, I mean, every segment of line would be annotated in that way. That's this normal standard procedure. Or do you leave some annotation off if it doesn't fit?
Oh, yeah, if it's too busy, then yeah, we're gonna leave some off, but we try and get as much as we can on there.
Okay.
Would if this were busy, would you just actually utilize the table on
Right.
the side?
Yeah, that's
So
the
what
other
that-
option. So if you want every line labeled, but there's not enough room, then we do a 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And
Mhm.
that would be in the layout window, similar to like here's a
Oh,
this is
that's a
the
good way to do
layout
it. Yeah.
for that parcel 501. It's
And-
got the corresponding.
And so if you go back over to that map, go over to the map boundary and open that up again.
This one, I wanted to find the parcel. So here it's this line here. So rather than, because here again, they wouldn't fit, they would have had to add them all arrowed in, so they chose to put in the numbers and then have that table on the side.
Yeah.
And
I
you
like that.
use on your map layout, that's a, you know,
Yep, so
4 by
yep.
18.
Yep, go to map boundary and then attribute table. And this is yeah, you can scroll it over.
I was gonna, can you see that or not? We're gonna go to the map.
Oh, perfect.
And then,
So we have it stored under measure notes. So if you double click it,
Oh,
Mm.
so that's
And
where
measure
that's stored.
notes just it's a feature link and you're just putting
Yep.
it in that standard spot.
Yep, correct.
Cool.
So it's just drawing it as a attribute that's pulled in from the map series.
Mhm.
And if it gets a little too long, we do have a secondary field. I think just comments is the secondary field that we put some measure notes in. I only encountered like 1 or 2 maps that needed to have it pulled over because there was so many so many measures that happened to exist that they went in different spots.
so you don't create a separate table, you just do it in that,
I just
in
do
that-
everything in the single table. I mean, you could link them together. You could do a join if you wanted to or something like that, but I just carry it all over in the map boundary table
yeah,
Yep.
nice.
because that way it links together really well with the map series.
Mhm.
it's like, cause we're coming out of tax lot 200, so we're gonna have a 201.
So how do you populate that, just out of curiosity? So say you've got, oh, you want
I went to, I was trying to show this. In the layout window. But as far as these tables in here,
Yeah.
it's just here again, it's manually entered
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So
from
it's
this
not
point
like,
forward. I mean,
it's not, okay, gotcha.
So you just manually entered all those bearings and distance in that table. Is that correct?
right.
Okay,
That's,
just to make sure that I'm understanding.
yeah, when I it actually is sort of funny too, because when I was doing the prep work for this project of moving everything with GeoMedia, I actually poured through all like 3,107 maps and pulled out all the measure notes and canceled numbers because they weren't anywhere else. So like everything that's there was manually entered by me initially.
Oh my
So, yeah.
gosh.
That's a lot.
Did
That
you
was
have to clean the
fun,
blood
but I
off
mean,
your keyboard?
what's that?
Did you have to clean the blood off your keyboard?
It was interesting. I actually like, I would also like, there was, well, it wasn't too bad because a lot of the stuff that was exported from GeoMedia, it all exported as proper PDFs that they were like, you know, you could hide the text and things like that. But every once in a while, there's one that was exported as an image. And I was like, okay, so I take a screenshot of the image and then I run it through like, I'm like, okay, do I just want to type this in manually? How long is this? And every once in a while I'd run it through like an AI image to text processor. And then like just QC it really quick, like, okay, cool. That looks fine.
Oh, yeah, AI. I guess that would be useful.
Yeah. So it was an interesting one, but yeah, so all those were actually manually entered, and they at this point in time will be continually manually, they'll be manually entered at this point, until we see how it might, you know, I mean, there's opportunity for improvement going forward, obviously.
You guys have been in production with Fabric and Pro for a couple of years, is that correct?
We started and we did this in we had this project that basically essentially started in June of 2022. And Jesse was doing a lot of Jesse and the other person that was there was doing work in GeoMedia up until August. And then you had the 6-week window that closed up for tax roll season. And during that time, we got one last export, ran everything through FME, handed it off to ProWest, and then they had a product for us by October.
So there, you guys didn't really have an overlap with the way you had been. Well, you weren't doing it in GIS prior to Pro, so
Well,
you
I
were
mean,
kind of committed, weren't you then?
Yeah, we were committed. So it's like basically essentially at that point in time, we were working in GeoMedia in August, and then in October, we had moved over to ArcGIS Pro, and that was like, well, we're going to go forward with this. So it was that's sort of where it was at, much to Jesse's chagrin, but at the same point in time, happy to provide as much assistance as humanly possible to him and his team, because it definitely was a huge project to overcome. And at the same time, I mean, I'm grateful Jesse's done an outstanding job of moving forward with the change and working through all of it.
Right,
It is what it is, isn't it, Jesse?
Yes.
So Jesse, you were doing it in CAD, and then suddenly you had to learn ArcGIS Pro from basically zero. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, we'd been working in GeoMedia for years. I don't know the exact number, but it was a long time.
Yep.
All
right. And you're still alive.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it looks like you got it down. So.
Cool. Gabe, Jeff, questions, things you want to see? We good?
Yeah, that was really good to see. Appreciate it all. You know, the steps are a little bit different than what we do, which is fine. And I've, told Dean this a couple of times, maybe our processes that we've done before are not the best and we should be doing things differently. And this was really good to see. It was vastly different, I think, from Polk, right, Dean? It was.
Yeah, I think some of it is being driven by where they came from, which was CAD. But the other part is that, again, you're making the assumption that the line work is accurate. And so unless you see someplace where it's obviously bad, and then you'll go in a lot more stuff. But if the line work looks like it's gonna fit, I think that fits, Jeff, and Gabe, kind of what you guys have said. Whereas at Poke, nobody ever believes anything. You COGO everything. And that was just because our maps were built before there was any control. So that cartographers never trust it because it's not trustworthy. And so I think that's some of the difference you're seeing. And obviously, if you're not COGOing in a complete document every time, things go faster, which is great.
Yeah, and I mean, it's good for us to see, and so I really, really do appreciate it, and how the different processes and how to do it. And we will thank you for recording this, because we will revert back to it, because there's obviously things I'm trying to take notes and watch at the same time.